Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here again with another review for you. This time I'm tackling episode 21 of season 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man called I Am Spider-Man. Honestly, I like this episode quite a bit. I was a little iffy on it at times, but overall, I think that this was a fairly strong episode, if for no other reason than we actually seem to get some genuine character development on the part of all people, Flash Thompson. But let's get into that. We'll talk more about Flash in a minute. So my first thought on this is, if I'm counting correctly, isn't this like the third time that Peter has taken down Trapster since this show started? And he does correctly point out that to Trapster, where he basically says, "Dude, every time we fight, I win." And that is a very Spider-Man thing to do, and of course he's 100% right. So I've got to ask though, how the heck does Trapster keep getting out of jail? Now, okay, I know this is a show based on comic books, where the Joker just basically walks out of Arkham Asylum every week. Okay, I get that. But still, like the first episode, we see Nick Fury take down Trapster personally, and presumably he gets hauled off by S.H.I.E.L.D. So, if that's the case, this means that the Trapster has escaped from S.H.I.E.L.D. custody at least twice. That's twice the number of times that we know Mesmero has. So, why the heck is S.H.I.E.L.D. so incompetent at keeping a guy like Trapster locked up? Now, I vaguely seem to recall that in the Marvel comics, they tried to make Trapster a little bit more of a threat by making him really good at using booby traps and things like that. And if they were doing that, or if Trapster was, say, some kind of super escape artist, kind of like an evil version of the DC character Mr. Miracle, then okay, I could buy it. But here, Trapster's just a guy with a glue gun. A high-tech glue gun. And he's apparently able to, at least twice, escape from the custody of the most powerful super spy agency in the world, using stuff that is sitting around a junior high school shop class. Oh man, I really hope this version of S.H.I.E.L.D. is internationally funded like it is in the comics, although that it is an issue that doesn't really get mentioned too awful much. Because if these guys are totally being funded by the US taxpayers, then the American citizens in the Marvel Universe are seriously getting hosed. Ugh. But anyway. Oh yeah, and if Trapster's constantly escaping, why doesn't Nick Fury, tell Spider-Man? Hey Peter, that villain who is constantly, causing trouble in your life? He's broken out of jail yet again. So you might want to keep an eye out for him, just so that you're not surprised if he turns up causing trouble somewhere in the city. Because, of course, makes too much sense that the Trapster just said screw this and, went off to commit crime in LA or something. Some days it really doesn't feel like it's worth it to put too much thought into comics. And admittedly, that is somewhat a requirement for really getting into the genre. Okay, if you can't accept the fact that a pair of glasses can keep people from figuring out that Clark Kent is Superman, then comics probably aren't for you. But I gotta say, folks, there are times when I just feel like going with it is just getting to be a little much. But hey, whatever. Nothing's perfect, right? Okay, so the musical in this episode. I'm thinking this is pretty much a shout out, or maybe a screw you, to the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark musical that was making headlines, what was it, about a year or two ago? Mostly for the seemingly out of control nature of the production, the rather unfortunate incident in which an actor was seriously hurt, and the fact that, experienced Spider-Man fans who had seen the show at best had mixed feelings towards it. Although more than now, I've never seen the show, and frankly, even if I had the chance to go, I don't think I would. In fact, if I was given the chance to see the show based on what I've heard about it, stabbing myself repeatedly in the face with a rusty ice pick would seem to be a preferable choice. What it did remind me of was actually the short clip that was made for Batman Beyond, where Terry and Bruce go and see a Batman musical. And you can find that clip on YouTube. I've actually hunted it up and watched it a couple of times. And seriously, I suggest you do because it's absolutely hilarious. So that said, let's talk briefly about what we did see in terms of music in this production. It's not the worst sort of superhero-ish theme song that I've ever heard. It's certainly not the worst. Beats the lyrics to the 90s Wildcats cartoon. I can give it that. Better than the 4Kids pirate rap opening to One Piece. But yeah, beyond that, not really feeling it. Then again, I seriously doubt that they were actually trying to write something that would be, good. I mean, this was deliberately intended to be sort of a goofy riff and, potentially to be something that would legitimately embarrass Peter. And speaking of stuff along those lines, I do have to admit that the ideas for the other Marvel-themed plays, those were pretty funny. Hulk School Musical. I'll say up front, I've never really watched more than like 2 minutes of any of those High School Musical things, and that's simply because my mom is a fan of stuff like that, believe it or not. So I've seen her watching that when I've been over at her place. It's just not my thing. But apparently it's my mom's kind of thing. Different tastes. Me and my mom, different tastes. So, yes. Let's look at let's move over and do my usual rant about what complete and utter jerks the Amazing Friends are. Okay, first of all, Peter seriously needs to punch Sam in the face. I mean, seriously, Sam has been nothing but a dick. Okay, I'll give him. I'll be fair. He has one or two times been a decent guy towards Peter, but seriously, the vast majority of the time since episode 1, Sam's whole thing has been being a dick to Peter, despite the fact that he's the dumbest, least competent guy on the team. And here, again, screwing around with Peter's costume. Yet again, the Amazing Friends showing no respect for Peter. And how the hell stupid are these guys that they don't even recognize the Trapster? Seriously, this is a guy who has repeatedly attacked your teammate, and he's there, probably less than 100 yards away from you. How do you not recognize this guy as a wanted supervillain? And there has to be a point where you're looking at this as like, that's just beyond what you would see in a high school play. I mean, I've seen plays put on by high school students. Some of them are quite elaborate, but, that's too much. And why does nobody find it questionable that Peter is picking up and smashing a table? I mean, even if it was a prop table, that would be an incredibly awkward thing to do. But you know what? I have a feeling that this is one of those episodes where I'm really, really just going to be pounding my head against the wall if I try and think too much about it. Even more so than usual. But that's kind of what we do around here, isn't it? Okay, let me see here. Yes, I'm looking at my notes. Speaking of the costume, Peter kind of gets an idiot moment here when he goes following Flash along the streets of New York, begging him, well, more or less trying to prod him into changing out of the costume. The thing is, though, Peter doesn't have anything else for Flash to wear. Otherwise, if he succeeded, he could have just told Flash to, step into a public restroom or something and change into the outfit. But no, Peter doesn't do that. So apparently he was expecting Flash to take off the Spider-Man costume and walk around the streets of Manhattan in his underwear. Now, folks, maybe the naked cowboy can get away with that, but yeah, otherwise, that's not really going to fly. And of course, we get the whole, for no discernible reason, People like some alternate version of Spider-Man. You know, random people on the street apparently just happen to love Spider-Man, even though the rest of the time everyone hates him. But hey, that's oh god. You know, I previously said that I liked this episode because of the character development that we get with Flash. In going through this episode, it really hits me just how much I guess I valued something that felt like real serious storytelling, because if it's over to overpower the eye rolling that I'm mentally doing while talking about all the dumb stuff in this episode, you know, maybe it's more the fact that this is a case of giving a steak to a hungry man, rather than this being truly deep and powerful storytelling and characterization. Yeah, actually, I think that's what this is. I have been so starved for some real juicy storytelling that even this reasonably good moment feels like a Thanksgiving feast at this point. And coming from guys like Man of Action, who are genuinely very good comic book writers, oh man, I think we're going to try and make this a short episode so I can go play video games. Okay, let me see. Yeah, okay. I will have to say that I did like what I think was a nod to the more recent comics, where Peter does say, mention being Spider-Man 24/7. Well, Spider-Man 24/7 is actually the name of a storyline that came out in the Spider-Man comics not that long ago. In fact, I think it was written by Mark Waid, real good writer, written a lot of really very good comics. Stuff like Kingdom Come. You know, guy basically reinvented the Flash for modern times back in the 90s. Had a fantastic run on Impulse. Great book. Loved that one when I was reading that back in the day. And well, with that said, actually, let's briefly speak about Mary Jane this episode. I'm not really sure what to make of the idea of her writing a play. It does remind me of some stuff from the comics, things from J. Michael Straczynski's run on Spider-Man, where Mary Jane was looking to be taken more serious as an actress, which is her profession in the mainstream Marvel universe. So she was sort of leaving TV shows and movies behind. She'd actually been a soap opera actress for a while, and was trying to get more credit as an actress by getting into theater, which of course is something that a lot of actors who are, you know, trying to get taken more seriously go and do. So I guess that might have been a step in that direction, but I don't know. I think it would have been much more interesting if she'd actually starred in the play rather than writing it, because I'm still not feeling this whole Mary Jane as Chloe Sullivan thing that they've been trying to shove on us. But anyway, let's get in and talk about Flash Thompson. So finally, we get to see Flash doing something besides being a humongous jerk. Now, one of the things that I do like about Flash in the comics is that he did start out basically as a high school bully. And over the time, he and Peter evolved to the point where they were genuinely very good friends, and if you're still reading the comics, where Flash himself gained powers and became a superhero. Now, granted, that superhero is Venom, but, you know, hey, you can't have everything, right? But here we get to see Peter basically tell Flash, like, look, Flash, you're athletically gifted, you're very good looking. We're just gonna leave it at that. It says, like, you don't need to pick on guys like me to show that, to prove that you're somebody, and that people would genuinely like you more if you were honestly nice to them. And this actually gets through to Flash. It really hits him that the way he is behaving isn't the way that someone like Spider-Man would approve of. He even says that if he had the power of Spider-Man, that he might not be able to resist abusing it. But that seeing that Spider-Man does have all that power and uses it to help people, that really gets to Flash. And I have to say, that is really, some genuinely good characterization. That is a good moment. Flash kind of realizes that, yeah, I'm kind of a jerk. And I kind of hope that we get to see more of this, because honestly, the jerk jock bully who has nothing to do, no character development beyond being the jerk jock bully, is something I've seen 100 times before. Seeing Flash become something a little bit more than that would, one, be a really nice, refreshing change, and give the show some desperately needed growth. It's something that would really make it feel like I'm getting some kind of a storytelling payback for the time that I have invested in watching this show. But anyway, I think that's all I really have to say for this episode. Now, again, as I said, I really am very, very happy with that characterization moment for Flash. I like that he took that moment to say, I got pushed around by someone, and I realized I didn't like it. So he's now less likely to do that to other people. But still, even if you stack that really good stuff right there up against the, oh my god, I want to smash my head against a wall, just in talking to you guys, I've come to realize that this episode isn't quite as wow as I had previously thought. And you know what? I'm actually kind of glad that me talking about this episode with you, because I like to get your feedback, has helped deepen my own understanding about this episode. Just by talking to you guys, I've learned to be able to assess this episode in a more reasonable fashion. And while I certainly do enjoy, talking with you guys and getting the feedback and hearing your thoughts about this, this is another one of the big reasons why I do these videos. One, of course, it's fun for me, but in doing these videos, I think I also learn about. I think I also learned something. I think I learned to be a better critic. I think I learned to be a more astute fan, and I just learned to really. It's good practice for critical thinking, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. And I like doing things like that. But anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough, and I've got a new PlayStation 3 game that I bought yesterday that I want to log some more time on. It's a Persona 4 Arena, incidentally, if you're wondering. Cool game. So with that said, folks, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at HoosierJedi. And until next time, take care and have a good one.